Okay, folks, let's call the General Purposes Committee meeting to order. May I have a motion on the minutes? All those in favor, post carried. Memorial Road Name Sign Program. Moved and seconded. Sonali, anything to add to the report?
Your Worship, I don't have anything further.
Oops. Hang on. Say that again? No,
Nothing further to add to the report, Your Worship.
yeah. Yeah, you don't have to speak so close. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Then we got recommendations on the demolition waste and recyclable materials, et cetera, et cetera. Moved and seconded. To staff, anything to add to your report?
Nothing else to add, Mr. Chair, staff's here.
Got to turn it on. Say that again?
Nothing else to add, Mr. Chair, staff's here to answer any questions. And I'd also quickly like to introduce myself. I'm Jovan Shima, Manager of Climate Action, and I've been at the city since August and look forward to working with you and the council closely.
Okay.
With me, my colleague Marcos Badra, Program Manager of Circular Economy.
Okay. Good to meet you both. Councilor McNulty, let's turn on your
Just a
mics.
quick question, I don't want to belabor, great report. What is to prevent and what is the downsize of pushing the limit and going up by 5%? We keep, I see we're going to, diversion rate will go 5% down the road with the federal government. Why can't we be bullish now and go with 85 or 90 now? What's the downsize?
To the chair, to Councillor McNulty, the target is going to be increased in phases because the market needs to be ready and prepare better to achieve that result. Currently, the market is ready to absorb 80% and gradually go to 90% to be sure that we are making a better approach for all the businesses involved in this industry.
So if the market improves,
Yes.
we could move and we don't have to wait. I'd like you to keep an eye on it and move accordingly when the opportunity presents it. I think it's a great report, and I think we can be a leader in this, and not that we're not, but we can even be better and not wait for anything. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, and through the chair, yeah, I'll echo the comments from Councilor McNulty. A really good report, actually. And, you know, it was encouraging to see that we're actually over the 80% on average. I think it was 85% mentioned in the report. So that's good. It's also good that we had very extensive conversations with industry stakeholders and partners, and even, you know, stakeholders like UDI are in favor of it and like what's happening here. So moving up towards higher percentages, I agree with that. The one question I have is, and it kind of touches on what Councillor McNulty mentioned, is that the incremental phase is going to be supported by legislative change as we move forward, right? We wouldn't be ahead of the legislative framework when we go to 90%. It's expected through conversations that that would be happening at the same time.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, that is correct. Our engagement to date has been very strong. And as we, if endorsed today, and as we start to develop an implementation plan, we will continue to engage industry closely, and specifically UDI members and also small builders as well. Specific to legislation, Metro Vancouver targets has been at 80% since 2020. There is a discussion underway to increase that target, and federal findings suggest that a target of 90% can be considered. And that's something that we're following closely, and working group at the Metro Vancouver level is where we're participating.
Yeah, that's good, and that makes sense. And actually, a lot of the information is great, including the table on page 46 in here. So just as you move forward, as we increase it, the stakeholders that have involved so much to this point are going to remain involved in consultation and implementation of it as we move forward. That's going to be part of the goal.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, continuous engagement will continue.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. So I recently did a tour of the Eco Waste facility, and I saw piles of mixed materials, wood insulation, whatever, that was just piled. And I don't think that gets sorted, does it?
To the chair, to Councilor Day, I'm not familiar exactly what is inside the Eco Waste facility right now, but they are part of the hub that we have in Richmond, and many of the facilities in Richmond are very successful in divert this material and use for different purposes. The market is growing demand of this material, especially the reclaimed wood for low carbon projects.
Yeah.
And that is a market that is developed, and secondary material market now is in good shape to grow and support the diversion of materials that we are encouraging and we are pursuing.
And that's one of the things that they want to do out there is create a campus of recycling, which I think is very exciting. Percentages can be very tricky, though. And when in the report it states that 88.75% of the materials recycled is cement. And that's easy to recycle, it's easy to repurpose and all that. Less than 1% is drywall, and less than 0.75% is wood and roofing. So I would be in favor of increasing the numbers, the percentages a lot more, because so much of it is cement. And we could probably get better recycling of those materials, the wood and whatnot, if it was separated. I think we should be bold here. The other thing I wanted to ask about is,
Well, just a minute, let's get any comments you've got on that.
To the chair, to Councilor Day, the materials diversion right now is following the opportunities the developers are funding. Increase the material target is allowing the market identify the best opportunities for cost benefit. And the phase increment is also supported by the engagement process that we take with all the different stakeholders in the industry right now.
so one of the things I did not see in here was, like, my favorite store is the Restore or Maple Ridge New and Used, and you can take entire kitchens, bathrooms, doors, everything there, and it's repurposed, it's sold, and, it's actually profitable. Have we done anything to encourage people from, rather than just demoing the entire house and kitchen, why not separate those movable pieces, furnaces and whatnot, and try to repurpose those for maybe a cottage or something?
To the chair, to Councilor Day, yes, in the engagement process, we understand also to provide the owners the opportunity to understand how they can donate this material for charities and also reclaim taxes as an opportunity to reduce the cost of the project as a total. And that was included in the engagement process, very clear for all of them.
Does it happen?
It's happening and it's growing right now.
That's good news, thank you.
Councilor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of questions to staff here. First off, in the report, after the report, there's the attachment 1, and there's a map on our page GP 18. I'm just curious, could you name what the facilities are in Richmond? I know there's a collection of them on Mitchell Island, but what about the other 3? What are those specific facilities?
To the chair, to Councilor Wolf, the another ones here are Lafarge and also Richmond. And we have a really good hub, and the names can be bigger than this. That's the most common facilities used right now by the contractors. But we have in the GP number 13, the regional facilities that include more in Richmond and also in the region in Metro Vancouver area.
So then how come something like Eco Waste wouldn't show up on this as a location of recycling facilities when they separate some of the construction demolition waste that goes to their facilities for recycling? Would that not show up on this map then, or?
To the chair, to Councilor Wolf, Eco Waste is included, but it's not the most popular option for contractors at this time in the region, in the applications that we analyze coming from the contractors in the 1 and 2 dwelling units.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. The next question I have is, I just recently learned that a company that I thought was at the leading edge of deconstructing buildings for this purpose of repurposing the wood and beams for other things was known as the Unbuilders. And recently I don't know if they've folded or rebranded, but I've heard that companies like that have struggled because it's so much cheaper to hire a demolition company, just smash it down and send it to a fill. Do you know if that is a trend, and if that is an impact into some of the survey results here of like, what's like a key opportunity, market infrastructure? I think right now the market is not supporting this, the goal that this is setting out for. Are you seeing that like across the board, or is that common to have these types of companies that are trying to lead the edge, not have the incentives to carry through, fold, and then we're delayed getting to the solutions?
To the chair, to Councillor Wolf, we are aware about the case of Ambuilder. It's the only company that in the market is not anymore available, but we engage with 56 different companies that they are pursuing the construction and demolition at the same time and adapting the practices as the market is demanding. And all of them are evolving in the business cases and the practices around this sector.
Okay, thank you. My last question then, through your worship, is, again, just looking at some of the survey responses and the higher scores of some things, I just wonder how we can, as a city, can support this, the goal of creating and supporting accessible material storage in marketplaces. Do you see like a local effort of what we can do around the table to create spaces for market storage and marketplaces? Like Councillor Day highlighted, a place that she likes to go to pick up things. Like, is there a way we can incentivize those to be here?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we will be complementing the proposed updated bylaw with a range of industry and homeowner support mechanisms to cater to diverse needs. And these would include traditional learning through guidance and training, but also digital tools, partnership opportunities, pilot opportunities, work with nonprofits and industry associations as well. Our goal is to ensure that compliance is collaborative and manageable.
Okay, thanks. Well, it is in Cross Canada Waste Reduction Week, so I'm glad this has made it on our awareness for today, and hopefully we can get to doing more of that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to talk specifically about the targets that you've identified, and just for my clarification. And as you probably know, private industry will certainly determine which way we go on this, especially when we have construction builds now being delayed or not even being built at all. So when we start to look at the demolition side of it. So I don't want to just set an arbitrary target when we in fact know that that's not going to be reachable. So we're at 80% right now, correct? That is our target, and we're exceeding that?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, our current target is 70% and the proposed target is 80%, and also expansion of scope to multi-residential and non-residential buildings as well.
Okay, and Metro Vancouver is now thinking of going to 80%?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, Metro Vancouver's target of 80% has been in place since 2020.
2020, okay. And you make mention of us, perpetuating to a point of going 85 to 90, which would be good, certainly if the industries supported us. And then, but based on the federal government, their target of 90%, I don't believe is till 2030. Am I correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the federal target is presently a proposed target for 90%.
For 2030?
For implementation by 2030, correct.
2030. Thank you.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for the report. In going to the different tiers, is there increased reporting requirements on this? And like how much more paperwork and how much more compliance work on our side is involved in this?
To the chair, to Councillor Liu, we identify the opportunity to improve the paperwork by removing the Schedule A and B from the bylaw and including the bulletin by staff. That is going to accelerate and reduce the paperwork that the current process has right now, and that was very supported by the different stakeholders, the UDI and the small builders as well.
Okay, so we'll be able to divert more and be more efficient while doing it. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion's on the floor, so we'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Has Councillor Au joined us yet?
Yes.
So, okay, Councillor Au is on the phone, good. Then we get to the third item, the amendments to the traffic bylaw for the truck parking. Moved and seconded. Snelly, anything to add?
Nothing further to add, Your Worship. Happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Heed.
Just bear with me for a moment, and I'm going to get you to refer to GP 51, the Consolidated Fees Bylaw. You know, I want to go through this because when we started talking about this type of approach, which I agree with, but we were trying to deal with a situation with the trucks that are registered or businesses that are registered in Richmond. And I understand that throughout the Lower Mainland, people may want to utilize this. So when we have the meter zones from 8 to 9, and you've got a term here of 350, the top of your chart here, the fee. So I guess what I'm looking for in this lower level, when we talk about monthly or a reduction based on per calendar month, et cetera, on the various sides of the vehicle. Is there any way we can take that category, and if you want that monthly decal, like they do in Vancouver on parking, is you must be from within, for example, Richmond, and your business or truck must be registered in Richmond?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Heed, at this point in time, as part of the pilot project approved by Council, staff were opening it up to all registered commercial trucks. We noticed from the infraction data that 60% of the trucks parking illegally on Richmond streets are registered outside of Richmond. So the bylaw proposed would help to capture that, those vehicles as well as vehicles registered in Richmond. And of course, through the monitoring of the pilot program, that is a metric that we would collect, is to see the vehicles using the on-street parking that are registered in Richmond and those trucks that are registered outside of Richmond.
So, and I'm not opposed if they want to pay that hourly rate if they're not in Richmond, but when we given a reduction on a monthly rate substantially, why would we not look for Richmond people to have that decal? The ones outside can pay that hourly rate, and the ones that actually are affected, that have their base in Richmond, get the monthly decal.
Your Worship, if I may clarify.
If I may
Yeah.
please add to Ms. Nally's speaking points, the table that's in the consolidated bylaw is an amalgamation of what currently exists for block meter zones and a parking decal. The only thing that was added as part of this bylaw is the commercial truck parking zones, the two monthly rates.
But the point being made on the commercial truck parking zones is, could we limit the decals or the allowance or the pilot program to Richmond registered vehicles?
We certainly could.
But we would have to change the wording there, wouldn't we? Could we ask Tony, do you have any thoughts on that? Is there any quick wording you can give us in that regard, or do you want to talk about the feasibility? There you go.
There's no issue with revising the wording. I would say that we'd be in a position to come with revised wording to council. This is GP.
Okay. Why don't we, why don't we deal with it, what we got in front of us, but on the basis that we're gonna hear more within the week and probably take, unless there's a divergence of viewpoints, it sounds like it's the way to go, to make it for Richmond vehicles. So we'll get more this week before council. Okay, Councillor Day.
I would agree 100% that we should give preference to Richmond registered vehicles. I think that makes common sense. My question, though, that I was going to ask is, like a lot of these smaller commercial trucks, like the cube vans, as you had described earlier in presentations, often are just parked in front of their warehouses or businesses at night. So can we also give priority to the larger trucks? Because while there's 63 on-street commercial truck parking spaces, will they accommodate 63 of the large commercial trucks?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, we actually base that number on a calculation that took 50% as the smaller trucks and 50% as the larger trucks. But knowing that in Richmond, the majority of trucks are those smaller trucks, we may be able to get more spaces out of that.
Okay, I was going to ask for amendment, but I think we'll keep it the way it is. Thank you.
Okay, so let's call the question then, on the basis that we're going to hear more this week. So all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, we're now adjourned. And I'll call the closed meeting to order. May I have a motion on closure compliance in the agenda?